Everyone, it's Michael, and today I'm going to do a quick but pretty important video about coming to terms with what you can and cannot give some of your plants. Now, I've been talking recently at length about the importance of reducing the size of your orchid collection. And if you haven't seen that video, I will link it below. And this is kind of an extension of that same thought process, but it's even more refined because now we're getting very granular. We're looking at these plants and saying, is my preferred growing method going to suit the needs of these plants, and is my environment going to suit the needs of these plants? Now this breaks my heart because I have, even in the process of reducing the size of my orchid collection, really clung to some of these because I love them. And I, every so often, have a lot of success with them when I'm capable and present of giving them the attention and care that they need. But the reality for me is at this precise moment in my life, given my professional obligations, given my travel schedule, some of these plants are just never going to thrive under my care. And quite frankly, it's not reasonable for me to expect that my husband is going to exert that same diligent care and attention that I would if I was present with them all the time. Even though he's absolutely wonderful and he does his best with a million plants. But now let's talk more specifically about what I mean here. It breaks my heart to say this, but I'm going to do away with every single one of the vandaceous types in my orchid collection. Now, if you've been with me for a while, you know that I've tried a lot of different cultivation methods with these plants. I've had them in semi-hydroponics, I have had them in water culture, I've had them in basket culture. Now, over the course of 3 years of growing them, I discovered that they really do prefer basket culture the most. But here's the thing. I don't prefer basket culture. When I put these plants in the window in a basket where they get the exposure that they need and the light that they need, I forget them. I forget them constantly. And really, what seems to catapult these plants into a really healthy, vigorous growth cycle is a wet and dry cycle. But what ends up happening for me is I put them in the window, I forget about them, and then slowly they just desiccate. And all of these plants have produced flower spikes for me repeatedly, and they've aborted repeatedly because they're just not getting any water, they're not getting any nutrients, and eventually they wither and give up. So these plants are currently in a holding state. You know, water culture is allowing them to survive, but they're certainly not thriving. They need to be cared for and positioned in a way that they can get that pronounced wet-dry cycle, and frankly, I'm just not giving it to them. So these plants are all going to be uploaded onto michaelsorchids.com for purchase. If you are great with vandas and you want to give a loving home to these plants, please do so. They mean the world to me. This is my Ascocenda Betty May Steele Carmella. It has beautiful salmon-colored blooms. This is my no ID vanda that I got from Seattle Orchid. Oh, it makes me so sad. It's like a bluish purple. It's so stunning. And this is my Renanthera calcum. I got this one from Kawamoto Orchids in Hawaii. And it makes me so sad because I love these plants and I love the memories attached to them, but I know that they are not going to thrive with the way that I can currently care for them and in this environment. You know, it's just not feasible here. So please, if you are able to give them a loving home, check out the store. Now, similar conversation here. We're going to move on to my Coryanthes macrantha X Self, another purchase from Seattle Orchid. Ugh, this just makes me so sad because this guy I got it to bloom and it's such a strange, brilliant beauty. But it's just, for the same reason as the vandas, it's just not going to succeed here because this requires constant moisture. And I would put it in a successful high moisture environment like I've done before for other plants, but I can't in the same way that I do for others because this one has to have a slatted bottom. The way that this produces flower spikes, it grows straight down through the medium and will come down dangling pendant. So when that happens, I can't put this in water culture. I can't put this in semi-hydroponics because then the flower spike will just grow down into the medium and potentially rot. So I always forget this one. It always gets super dry. You can see the leaves, they start to dry back. And I am only ever reactive to this plant. I am never proactively caring for it in the way that it wants. So this one is also going to have to find a new home. Now this one is this one is a really great example too. This is my Miltoniopsis Burtfield Eileen. It is a stunning, stunning beauty, and it has bloomed for me pretty regularly, but it's not a healthy or vigorous plant at all. And part of that is it requires cooler temperatures, so I keep it by the window, but it also requires high moisture. So this doesn't enjoy the benefit of existing in the grow space with the humidifier and the misting. It doesn't get any of that high humidity, high moisture benefit that my other plants do. And again, because it's in the window and behind curtains, I forget about it all the time, and then, you know, new growths die back, and I'm just not giving it what it needs, and I'm not capable of giving it what it needs. So This one I'm not selling. Whoever is the first person to purchase any of these plants, I'm just going to go ahead and gift you this plant because I don't feel, I mean, I have every faith that someone who is patient and wonderful and loving is going to be able to give this a TLC it needs to survive, but it's not healthy enough for me to charge anyone for it. So I hope that somebody gives this a beautiful home and nurses it back to health because it's such a beauty. Now this one is interesting. This is my Potinara Miki Kobayashi D, and I love this plant. It has the most insane fuchsia fragrant blooms, but its growth temperament annoys me. And I don't think it would annoy me if I had a greenhouse because it really, I don't know if you can tell, it wants to fan out and it just does not sit properly on my shelves. It occupies so much space. It's very, very hard to care for. I always end up knocking over other plants and shattering glass when I'm negotiating this plant. So, I mean, it's actually doing really well. It seems to really enjoy water culture. It also loves bark medium. It also loves sphagnum moss. It's a very adaptable grower, but its growth habit just bothers me. It just wants to go in every direction. I don't know if you can even see, if I take you into the container, do you see how the new growth came in through the bottom here? It's just so peculiar. So this one, I guess it's a matter of preference because I can grow it here. I just feel too frustrated by it to continue trying. So this one is also available on the store. Now just a little housekeeping. There's a few other plants that I need to get rid of soon because I divided them and they just have to go to another loving home. This is my Fred Clarkiara After Dark SVL Black Pearl. You can see it has a beautiful, vigorous new growth coming in here. I also have my Cloesia Rebecca Northern Maccabi, and you can see this one, I divided it. It's a 2-bulb division and it has another little gorgeous growth coming in. Perfect time to get it repotted too. This one is a division of my favorite plant in my collection. This is my Miltonia Sunset. I was doing some water culture experiments with it, so this was the one that was growing in water culture. It was doing fine, it wasn't doing amazing, so I just potted it back up in sphagnum, and now it's doing great. It has a beautiful new growth, and I think that we can expect a flower spike on it shortly. So if anyone wants a division of that, that's on the store. And then the last one is my Phalaenopsis Ganlin Golden Apple. Just keeping with the theme of, you know, reducing your orchid collection. I love my Phalaenopsis orchids, but I don't feel intimately attached to this one. It's not like the keikis I have from my mom's plants. It's not like plants that I've reared from when they were very, very young or when I was really early in my orchid growing journey. So this is a beautiful purple bloom, stunner, but I think that it can make somebody else very happy. I hope this all makes sense. You know, it's peculiar to come to this point with my plants because for a very long time, the objective was just to make sure that they all survived, but I'm past that point. It's not just a matter of collecting orchids and praying that they don't die. It's about being diligent and compassionate to their needs, recognizing what you are capable of giving them, understanding your own limitations as a grower, understanding the limitations of your environment. So as heartbreaking as it is for me to bid farewell to some of these plants, I know that I'm going to reconnect with them under better terms in the future in a different environment. And that excites me because I now have the experiential knowledge to know what they need and also the courage to admit that I don't currently have the ability to provide it to them. And with that, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much as always for choosing to spend your time with me. If you have any questions, concerns, or feedback, go ahead and leave it in the comment section below. Don't forget to support one another in the comment section because I'm so seldom available to do so. Don't forget to click subscribe and have a beautiful rest of your day. Mwah. Bye, friends.